Hello and welcome to another episode of MacStories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci on a very special day for gamers around the world. Capital G gamers, right?
hello, John. Yes, it's we're recording this on Thursday, the day after a lot of announcements by Valve,
Yes.
obviously the company behind Steam and the Steam Deck. And we're going to talk about all of those on MPC, which is our other podcast that you and I do with Brendan Bigley, Next Portable Console. And this is one of those sort of key episodes of MPC, just like when the Nintendo Switch 2 was announced. I think we're going to try and actually release that episode that we're recording right after this. We're going to jump on a call with Brendan. We're going to record MPC. We're going to try and release it early instead of next week.
Yes, actually probably before people are listening to this, which is why we thought we should mention it here.
Yeah, and you know, the typical MacStories Unwind audience, I think you're into video games and gaming. You probably have a Steam Deck, and if so, you're probably going to be interested in the MPC conversation about the future of Valve and SteamOS, topics that we've been exploring and predicting for the past few months, and it's something that it's all coming true. So
it really is. It really is. Federico, what should we talk about today? Do you have? I have all kinds of topics because you told me a story the other day that I thought was kind of interesting, and I have.
Wait, I told you. I told you.
You told me a story about a tennis ball.
Oh no, we're gonna keep that off the air.
Okay.
We're not gonna mention that. We're not gonna mention
All right.
that.
I should have asked you before we got started. But what we're gonna talk about is I want to talk to you about weekend excursions and a workflow that I have come up with. And I know you have a short topic too before we get to the picks. And mine is something that I've been doing since I moved to North Carolina, which is I've been kind of leveraging both Instagram and Apple Maps in combination. I have never been what I was not a heavy Instagram user before I moved here. And one of the things that I did is realizing that an awful lot of like local businesses and restaurants and, attractions, all these things, theaters, whatever it is, music venues, they all have active Instagram accounts.
Okay.
And so as a way to try to get to learn this greater Charlotte area and what's available and what's opening and what there is to do for, evenings out on the weekend, whatever, I started following just everything I could find, kind of radiating out from where I live. So most of the local businesses in my town and the neighboring towns, and then a lot of the big venues and other things going on in Charlotte as well. And through kind of the algorithm and what was suggested to me based on that list has just grown and grown and grown over time. And so what I do now when I find something new, if it looks interesting and if it pops up in my feed a lot and I kind of comes to the level of, oh, I really want to go try this restaurant sometime, but I can't today, I go to Apple Maps, find the restaurant, and I've created a series of guides kind of based on like what town they're in. Or if you get far enough away, like I have one for the North Carolina mountains and one for the beach. But I've also got just like a lot of the surrounding towns here. And that combined with the new beta feature, which is where Apple Maps can track where you've been, has been a really nice way to create guides of different kinds, whether it's video game shops I've been to, or restaurants or bars or, parks, that kind of thing. And then it becomes something I can recommend to other people, which is nice too, because we have family around here, and like sometimes somebody will come visit and they're doing stuff on their own. Maybe I can just give them that guide and they can go try something that's on the list.
So how do you, because I don't think I have this feature. Probably
Which feature?
Like the Apple Maps sort of visited places thing.
Yeah. So
how do you get to that? And how do you go from that to a collection?
Yeah. So if you
Actually, let me see, because I think this is like a European Union thing.
It might be. It might be US only, but you open up Apple Maps and you go to your little profile picture.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you have guides because I know you've done a guide before.
I actually don't.
Oh, we go to places. Places should be your first thing at the top,
Guides. So
right?
I have pinned, saved places, guides, and routes.
Right. And under that, I have something called visited places.
Ah,
And there's 119 of them.
I
And
don't have it.
when I open that, it's very nicely done because it has categories. So there's like shopping, dining, transport, leisure, nature, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And then it's by city. So it's got, the top ones are all around where I live, but it's
Mm.
also got like some trips we did to Austin, Texas, and to other towns in North Carolina. And then below that is just a chronological feed of all the places that I've visited in reverse chronological order. And every now and then it'll say, were you at this place? Because it's not entirely sure. And you can say yes or no. And you can delete these. You can save them indefinitely. You can save them for a certain amount of time. But yeah, it's really nice. And so from here, it's very easy to, go to the more menu, open up the actual place, and then add it to a guide. And I just have, as I said, I've organized mine mostly by town or region,
Mm.
and sometimes by topic.
Yeah, that's too bad that I don't have
Yeah,
access to that.
that's one that I mean, you have to be okay with Apple Maps tracking you, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess
I mean,
the European Union is protected me.
they
I
have
guess.
protected you. I'm not too worried about people, about Apple Maps knowing that I go to the coffee shop a lot. I think most people know that by now.
I mean, the
About
moment.
me.
I mean, I have a whole thing about privacy that I think is unpopular with some parts of our audience, and social media. But I think it's quite. I think there's some irony in the fact that some people are so concerned about like having these features in maps, but then we're just so happy to put like an Amazon Echo into our own home.
Yeah.
And like that contrast I find so fascinating. That thing is
Yeah.
literally listening to you and buffering you for a few seconds.
And trying to sell you stuff. Whereas
Yeah.
I mean, Apple Maps, now that's a whole other conversation. Apple's rumored to be putting ads in Apple Maps, which I'm not too happy about. But if I recall correctly about this Places feature, it's designed to be privacy first. So, I mean, obviously there's a certain amount of trust you have to have in Apple and their privacy features. But also on top of the fact that one, I generally trust Apple with that stuff, and
Yeah.
two, I really don't care if Apple knows that I went to a particular restaurant with my wife last weekend. I mean, it's not very interesting or useful. Maybe it's useful for advertising, but I just don't care that much.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I also wanted to ask you: have you ever considered saving those places, like in the Instagram bookmarks or collections, whatever they're called?
I have not really done that, but I have started marking things more in Instagram. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I haven't really done much of that historically, but it's something that I could do. I'm really not a huge fan of Instagram, to be honest, but I do
Yeah.
find it super useful for discovering what's going on around you, because all these shops and restaurants and everything are very, very active on Instagram. That's the place to be if you're a small business. So
Yeah, yeah. Makes sense also that you're adding them into maps, so you can just navigate there and
right.
share with people. I also wanted to mention something that I've been playing around with behind the scenes. I've been testing different dictation apps on my iPhone, just to sort of try and get a sense of what's the best experience out there. And it just so happens that the best option that I have found is also an app that I wanted to learn more.
Okay.
So I had this couple of things that I wanted to do a deep research about. And so I thought would be a fun test. I actually wrote down my entire paragraph describing my deep research, and I wrote it down, and then I dictated the same paragraph into 3 different apps. I
Okay.
used Drafts, Raycast for iOS, and Whisperflow. Drafts is using the built-in the new speech transcription system as of iOS 26. Whisperflow is using a proprietary technology. I don't think they share the details of the model that they're
Not
using.
that I've seen.
Yeah. And Raycast on iOS, fun fact, I was using the beta, but as of an hour ago, that version is now on the App Store. So I can talk about it. Raycast just added support for the new 11 Labs speech-to-text model called Scribe version 2 real-time. Very low latency, very accurate model by 11 Labs, one of the leading companies when it comes to audio and speech-to-text and text-to-speech and so forth.
Yep.
Just launched a few days ago, now already available in Raycast. And I sent you, John, the samples of the original paragraph and then the dictation output from 3 different apps. And I think we are pretty much in agreement that the Apple version in drafts was the worst.
Yeah, it was.
And then somewhere in the middle, I would put Whisperflow. I think Raycast with Scribe V2 was the best one.
Is the Raycast feature behind its paywall, or is that just available?
That is interesting because I was using the beta, and so in the test flight, it's all free for test flight users. I don't know at the moment if it's behind one of their Raycast AI subscriptions, because 11 Labs stuff is expensive. I know.
Right. That's why I asked, because I have looked at 11 Labs. I've watched and followed them very closely over the last couple of years, because they're really at the cutting edge, but in general, their services are very expensive. They're really targeting a lot of production companies that are making audiobooks and things like that, which support higher prices as opposed to consumer products. And but you know, they're also very, very good. And it'd be interesting to know about Raycast, because Whisperflow is, I think, $15 a month, something like that. I mean, there's a small free tier that's like 1,000 words a month or something like that. But, and of course, Apple's is part of the OS. So it'd be interesting to see what you need to pay in order to get kind of that premium experience.
Because they do have, they have Raycast, obviously the free version. They have Raycast Pro, which is $8 a month. And that gives you Raycast AI, Cloud Sync, notes, clipboard history, and so forth. But then in Raycast Pro, it's called Pro Plus Advanced AI. They have everything from Pro and some of the more advanced AI models, like I guess some of the sonnets, the reasoning stuff, perplexity,
the current frontier models.
They don't mention anything in their pricing page about iOS dictation.
It's possible.
Oh, it's actually $10 a month if you pay monthly. It's I was looking at the yearly prices. They don't mention anything about dictation on iOS.
I wonder if they're making that free and supporting it with with the subscription money they're getting for the AI stuff. I think that they've got a tricky balance to arrive at with Raycast subscriptions, because you're essentially paying for your AI service a second time if you're paying for their plus features, but you also get more models. It's one of those. It's just another layer on top of AI, which I think is increasingly difficult to navigate from a like a business plan standpoint.
Yeah, I can tell you that I am on the Pro plan, and I can use Scribe V2 real time.
Okay, good.
So
I'll try it later.
In general, I've been trying to use Raycast more on iOS, because I think they've done a good job trying to put together a nice package of features, trying to have as many hooks into the system as possible without being a launcher, right? Because they cannot be that on iOS.
Right.
I am by nature skeptical of model aggregators, so to speak. Like
too.
Raycast, Perplexity. There's a whole bunch of these services. The only one that has stuck with me so far, as we've spoken about on MacStories, is TypingMind. That is also a model aggregator, but that is different enough, right? It has enough.
Yeah, but you're using Perplexity too, right? I mean, that's an aggregator.
No, I am not anymore. Oh,
really? Okay.
Yeah, for the past few weeks, really, I truly trimmed down and consolidated
I'm sort of in
everything
the
around.
process of evaluating that sort of thing too.
Yeah, just Claude and Type in Mind. And so all of these other aggregators, they become obviously expensive and
Yes.
redundant, right?
Yep.
And so Raycast is also an aggregator, especially in iOS, but they're doing this nice things like Dictation now. They have a custom keyboard with Dictation. They have the quick links. They have the widgets. They have the shortcuts actions. I don't know. I'm playing around with it.
Well, and I think what's nice about the iOS app too is even, Raycast, I think, has always had a very generous free tier of things that are available. So all those things that you just rattled off are part of a free plan too. So I think anybody can take advantage of that iOS app. I should probably take a closer look because when Sky came out, I banished.
Oh man,
I banished Raycast, and so I have an open keyboard shortcut for it on my Mac, and I think I still have a Pro plan that runs at least till next spring. So I'll revisit it again. It's been a few months.
All right. Well, so that's a whole lot of behind the scenes. So I think we wanted to have a joint pick for. So here's how I would pronounce it: Pluribus, because it's Latin.
From the Midwest, I'd call it Pluribus, but
Pluribus. So this is the new show by Vince Gilligan,
Gilligan, I think is how you would pronounce it.
Gilligan, the creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I have only seen the first episode.
I've seen the first two because
you've seen the first two that are So don't spoil me on episode 2.
I'm only going to tell you about 2 is that it'll be very much your thing, and I'm disappointed I can't talk to you about episode 2 because it has things about it that'll push your buttons. I think. Oh,
interesting. Yeah. How so? Oh well, no, you cannot.
No, I can't really do it without kind of giving away what I'm talking about.
So this new show, I think it's been shrouded in mystery for years, really. Like what was Gilligan up to? Yeah. And it's an Apple TV exclusive. And the whole premise is that Carol, played by Rhea Seehorn, she's a writer of this sort of romance novels.
Romance novels, yeah. About a pirate.
About a pirate. And she's really unhappy with her job and the fact that she has so many fans. Absolutely obsessed with the novels that she writes, but she despises everything. And in this first episode opens, first of all, it opens with this other thing a year and a half before, showing these 2 researchers in front of a computer at a satellite station, like a NASA satellite station. They pick up this signal coming from outer space with this very peculiar pattern. And they start studying this signal, and more people come into this office looking at this pattern that was picked up by these huge satellite dishes. And they fast forward, and eventually they realize this encrypted message coming from outer space, coming from an alien race or something, was an encrypted message that contained 4 different proteins. Right? For making potentially what appeared to be a virus. And so essentially these people, they have this brilliant idea of start testing these proteins and whatever this message contained in livestock, on rats inside labs. And eventually, although it's been several months and it appears that these experiments are going nowhere, one of the rats that appeared to be dead bites one of the scientists in the lab on her finger, and very quickly she starts shaking and becomes unresponsive. And essentially, this virus is so contagious that it starts spreading very quickly among all the people in the lab, including the security officer. But then what's really creepy about that scene is that it's this virus where it affects people, but it appears that when you're infected, your priority becomes to infect other people. And so you see everybody sort of getting together, licking donuts that they're putting in boxes, and sort of like licking these swabs that they're then touching other things with.
Yeah, walking up to random strangers and kissing them.
Yeah. So meanwhile, in the first episode, Carol, right after this book event, this book reading event at a library, witnesses this sudden epidemic. And the whole premise of the show, long story short, is that this virus makes people super and kind of in a very creepy way happy all the time. And they want to convince Carol to join them. Carol is somehow immune to being infected by this virus. It's Carol and 11 other people all across the world that are somehow immune. And this is sort of how episode 1 ends. And I don't know, I am very intrigued. My main issue is that I've been very busy. And whenever I thought, I'm going to watch episode 2, it was very late and I was tired.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah,
good thoughts so far? Like you liked episode
I like it
2.
a lot. I like it a lot. Jennifer, not so much, but she does not like science fiction at all. And this is kind of science fiction essentially. So, which is a little tough because Apple TV has a lot of good science fictions, but this one, I am going to watch and maybe drag her along for the ride if she can read a book or something. But yeah, I do enjoy it a lot. I think it's exploring a lot of interesting ideas, especially post-pandemic, and it explores a lot of interesting technology ideas, I think, too, which I think is what I think you'll find very interesting, especially with what's coming up in the second episode. But It's only 2 in, and I forget if it's like an 8 or 10 episode series, but yeah, it's going to be going on for a while. And I think this is one that after we get through a bit of it, we should revisit and talk about it when we can spoil it a little bit. But I don't want to spoil even a little bit today.
Okay. All right. I'll watch it tonight.
All right, everybody. That's it for this week's episode. We'll have more picks next week. In the meantime, you can find the two of us at MacStories.net and on social media, where Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees, JOHNVOORHEES. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.